Hey guys, Aaron here from More 4x4. Thank you so much for tuning in. We wanted to share with you our latest adventure tourer build that we have done for John and his family. I've loved dealing with John. John is micro detail and I've enjoyed every part of that because he really keeps me in check to make sure everything is as he needs it. And I've really enjoyed that. What I want to share with you is adventure tourer builds. What is the difference between a weekend warrior build and a full-time tourer build? So a weekend warrior build is the sort of build that you can go out for a weekend. You might be able to stay, do a bit of camping out of the car. You can take an esky with you. You might have more kids you want to carry. Whereas this vehicle is more geared to adventure and caravan towing, and John doesn't need the third row of seats, so we've installed a heap of infrastructure so we can help him achieve the things that he has set out to achieve. So we'll go more into that as we're going through, and you'll see the difference between our last adventure tourer build and John's adventure tourer build. So let's get into the bull bar first and then we'll walk through the rest of the build. So as per our last adventure tourer build, we want to start up the front here and we're going to walk through all of these different facets. This here for John is a Raslarr front bar. And what we've done for John is we've detailed the color coding. So it was very important for John that we get the aesthetics right. So we spent a bit of time on that, dialing that in. So we've done the color coded wings, we've done the color coded center section, and we have left the recovery points, you might notice, still yellowy orange. And if you're asking why didn't we color code those things, it's because if you have someone else who you're trying to navigate to that recovery point because you're stuck in a position, is it going to be easier to say, put the shackle on the orange recovery point or put the shackle on a black recovery point that's under there? So if you're wondering why, I thought I'd add that. So what we've done for John is we have color coded, as I mentioned, steady 21.5 inch light bar. John doesn't need lots of light, but he wants a bit extra. So he's not doing heaps of driving at night, but the question I asked John is, do you want to have a void there? Because without the light bar, it kind of looks a bit like naked, like not quite finished. So that was part of it. And it's a low investment, so there doesn't need to be lots of thought about that. We have done the Runva winch. These bars will accept an 11 XP and a 13 XP. So if you're towing really heavy off-road and you're concerned about capacity, not that I am, I know that either winch will work, but for some it's a peace of mind. So we've included that as well. As you'll see up here, I'm getting a bit old, my knees are getting sore. If you'll notice, I remembered the UHF antenna this time. I didn't, Pancho did. So thank you, Pancho, I appreciate you. Yeah, so Uniden UHF antenna, we've given him two antennas. So we have the larger one, which is a higher dB of gain, 6.6. So this antenna is designed for flatter country. So the higher the dB, the skinnier and longer the waveform, and the shorter the antenna, the chunkier and the shorter the waveform. So shorter means mountainous, whatever, this means kind of desert flat country. Wheels and tyres, your Y62 Patrol. We have built some specific content on axle loads and the reasons why we need to change this arrangement. Compliance, all that stuff, YouTube video specifically on that, stay tuned. Right now we have upgraded John's wheels to ROH Assault in matte black. Looks hot, I love this wheel. Available in a couple of different colors. I'm not going to bore you with that detail. Rated 1,500 kilos. So in combined, 3,000 kilos per axle group means that they are 450 kilos overrated for this application. And they just look fat. I love this. 295 70 18 Maxxis all-terrains. super popular tyre. Rolling diameter is great, legal. 7% is the maximum that you can increase the tyre diameter in New South Wales. 7%, 295s, they're legal. So you can fit them. They don't need any other modifications, no engineer's reports, no speedo calibration. So we have applied an appropriately rated spring for all the accessories that are on the front of the vehicle. So whether it's a Raslarr bar with a winch or no winch or an ARB bar, whatever, we apply the right coil spring to suit that load. Mostly you get a lift out of the suspension system between 35 and 50 mils. We do have standard options, but we're so limited with the amount of coil springs that we have that we don't do many of them because they're really not fit for purpose, I suppose. So we want to make sure that we match the right coil spring for the load that's on the vehicle and the way you want to use it. More compliance, nerdy stuff coming. As part of the GVM upgrade, we actually need to include what's known as a Category 6 indicator. It's to do with the category, the weight of the vehicle. So we can either put a Category 6 indicator on the fender here, or we can include it in towing mirrors. I haven't done the numbers, but I'm going to say there's going to be 9.5 people out of 10 are going mirrors. We've color coded these. Pancho's going to link you in the card to the other video so you can see what they might look like, black or color coded, extendable, retractable, power fold. This is what it looks like. Card, thank you, click it. So part of any well thought out adventure touring build that we do, a huge component is storage. And it's actually one of the 3 pillars of any adventure tourer build that we do is storage. So whether that's storage in the back of the vehicle, of which John's build has, or storage on the roof, it all works in together. So for the reason that John didn't necessarily need lots of permanently mounted equipment and he wanted some flexibility to mount his bits of 4x2 or a kayak or chuck a bike up there or a misbehaving child, it has mesh, which means that you can strap stuff down anywhere. Intrinsically, there's 8,000 million tie down points up there. So that means that you don't need a proprietary fitting and a tool to change it when you need it. Because if you're just trying to pack all your stuff in the car and get on the road, the last thing you guys want to be doing is faffing around with a tool to move a point. And it means you've got to have enough. And it kind of doesn't make sense. The other thing too is that this rack here is super low profile. This here, it's one of the lowest. I'm gonna go out on a limb and ask for litigious input from major manufacturers. This is the lowest profile roof rack on the market. I'm so sure it is also the lightest rack on the market. Challenge me on it. Comment below. If you think that I'm wrong, bring it on. I love the content, love the discussion around that. Thank you. So we've mounted a solar panel up there permanently. Pancho's going to give you some B-roll on that. And Max Tracks, 4 of them. The reason why we have 4 and we fit the right mount to it so it can encompass all of them, that's lockable, is because he's also towing a van off-road. If you were just in the vehicle, adventure, weekend warrior kind of action, you might be able to get away with 2. But 4 kind of is I've said something to upset the duck. You had enough? Thank you, buddy. Never work with children and animals, apparently. We are going to create specific content. We're going to go micro on different types of roof racks, your end goal's purpose. So, don't know when that's coming out, but I promise you that we are going to do it. So stay tuned, thank you. So, you're maybe towing, and most of our clients are. And as part of that towing system, we've got a couple of options for you. Different manufacturers, rear bar versus tow bar, tires, jerry can holders, all that stuff. We've got awesome content on that. But for John, what we've done, dude, really? Thank you. We've just used the standard Nissan bar, and I don't actually know the numbers, like proportionally, whether it's whether it's tow bar or rear bar assembly. Most of the rear bars that we do have the tow bar in. So if you're thinking about, if you're up in the air about whether tow bar or rear bar, just be aware that mostly what we do is Raslarr rear bars that has the tow bar in there. So you're going to spend $1,500 or $1,800 on the tow bar, or you can get a complete rear bar with tow bar for not much more. So just have a think about that. So come with me, Panch. Wiring systems. So Nissan tow bar, nothing super special there. 12-pin plug. It's kind of different to a 7-pin plug because there's 5 more pins there. But obviously that sometimes has current flow, electronic trigger flow, a few other bits and pieces. So we include that as part of the build. Anderson plug, grey for current flow, typically to charge batteries. And if you never seen a red Ando before, that is for stability control for John. So sometimes people do weird things with these, but for us, when we look at this, we know it's stability control, and John knows too. So really, really simple. And the airbag inflation, technically called a Schrader valve. That is, for John, this is actually a redundancy system. So we'll show you in the back in a sec what we've done for him to manage his airbag systems. But if that shits itself, for whatever reason, electronic, compressor failure, whatever that is, that means he can still action what he needs to, right? And this is not gonna wreck his trip or wreck his day or whatever. So, warning, not there. We had a problem with it. We actually had a problem with the manufacturer, and they didn't get the stuff that they needed in time. So that was the only other thing that I forgot to mention. And when I walked around here to the back of the car, I saw it. So transparency, we're not perfect. Everyone makes mistakes, including our supply chain. But I just wanted to share it with you because transparency. So we're gonna get in the back of the vehicle now, and we're gonna show you what we've done for John's Adventure Tourer build. So here we have Evercool drawer fridge that's got all of the paraphernalia in it that I didn't pull out. I should have put some bevies in there and some sandwiches, so it would have appeared more realistic. But we've literally driven from the shop here. The car's not even registered yet. We're driving on a trade plate. So flat floor. So link to other storage videos where you can see working heights of things. So this here, totally flat floor. John, for instance, in this here, he's not going to carry stuff on top. So there was no need for occupant protection, cargo barrier stuff. But if you have kids or you want to put stuff in there, carry equipment in the back, occupant protection is super important. Okay, it's starting to rain, so we need to crack on. Traveller table. This table here is a pull-out table, so you can take that out, move it to your campsite, move it next to the fire or into the awning or whatever. Drawer. Decent capacity. We've already got heaps of stuff from John here. Wheel nuts, tote bag. Every Adventure Tourer build gets one of these. Little thing, but it's got all of his stuff in it. So it's partitioned off so that he can figure out what he needs, put it wherever he wants, and pull out stainless steel table. So if you want to cook on here, you're not in the back of the vehicle, and you can actually also get to the fridge. It's a bit of a bugbear of mine in systems that I've had before. You get the fridge, you get table. You can't open the fridge because it's above the table. You've got to take everything off. So what we've also done here, which is really, really important, task lighting. Simple thing. We actually get this from National Lunar, and touch sensitive, so you're not faffing around somewhere looking for lights. This is amber, actually. Let me change it to white. Dimmable 3 ways. It's really bright. Let's wreck my night vision. When we were discussing this build and trying to figure out how exactly John wants to use his airbags, as I mentioned before, the Schrader valves are redundancy because John's airbag controls are in the rear of the vehicle here. So control systems on the right hand side, airbag, inflation gauge on the left hand pillar, and it's all automated. So all we really have to do is to switch the compressor on and we can air up, air down from here. I think I just switched it off. So deflate, inflate, super simple. The bags are really low volume, so it doesn't take ages for it to fill up. And outlets here, USBs, other points here. And we have an Anderson plug solar input on the left-hand side down here. Super trick, out of the way, you don't need to worry about. And the thing is, and we've learned this from other builds, when you want to put the solar input Anderson plug on the fascia right out here, if you want to plug anything in, plug your Anderson from your solar panels, you want to plug it in, it hangs out here and you often can't shut the door. So we've recessed it further back in there and it's all concealed, right? Air outlet. So compressor's hidden under the back, we'll show you that in a sec. So if you want to pump up the caravan tyres or the vehicle's tyres, or old mate who's got a puncture on the side of the road and you're a good Samaritan and you want to help, you can do that. And you know, you've got 6 or 8 metres of, we supply this with 6 or 8 metres of curly cable. So you can do what you need to do. So as part of the axle upgrade, kilogram upgrade to 2550, we have to install these new lower control arms. These are our Gen 2 lower control arms. And we've got separate content on that for which Panch is going to put a card there, I think that's what he calls it. So you can get an idea about what it actually looks like when it's out of the vehicle. You can't see much under there. We'll link you to it. As I mentioned before, one of the 3 pillars of any adventure touring build is electrical. So John, in this case, didn't have a whole heap of high power output electrical requirement. So as you can see in this build here, you can hardly see anything, right? So I'm not going to bore you with the details because it has started to rain and the pressure's on. So here we have Victron inverter. Panto's going to zoom in on the 240 volt outlet, so access is awesome. We have here an ARB twin compressor. All the rest of the electrical is concealed under the drawers, so you don't see anything. What that means also is that you've got more nooks and hidey holes to store stuff. So 55 litre stainless steel water tank. It is the 3rd pillar, storage, electrical, water. So John has 55 litres that he can, get that might give him 4, 5, 6, 7 days worth of water. And don't need anything fancy because we have a gravity outlet, okay? Fill point here, and that's it. So internal stuff, there's not a whole heap going on and we always want to keep it as neat as we can. We hate cutting into panels. That's why we don't mount things like UHF antennas. And in John's build, we've actually got the input right there. That's actually a stedi switch. So all John needs to do is pull the mic out and he can just plug it straight in there. Super simple. A couple of USB outlets and his red arc brake controllers here. Thank you for staying this long into the video. I'm super grateful. I'm not here to try and convince you of anything or sell you stuff. I truly just want to share my knowledge. So if there's anything that you want to know, ask in the comments below, because we'll come back to you. I promise we will. Thanks very much for tuning in. I hope you have an awesome day. I love my life. See you later.